Hi, happy 2020. It's quite a year already. Two twos equals four. I'm Sheilaa Hite, astrologer, tarot master, all-around metaphysical and magical being. And I'm here to talk to you today about January 2020, the beginning of a new year, the beginning of a new decade. And a lot's going to happen this year, and a lot's going to happen this decade. And to keep with that, a lot's going to happen this month. So much is going to happen that I'm going to do half the month now and the other half later. One of the things we have to realize is 2020 adds up to 4. So that means that our universal year number is a 4. 4 is about organization. 4 is about foundation. 4 is about details. So this year will be about foundation, organization, and details. And some of that organization is going to include sorting. Sorting meaning going through and determining the value of something or some relationships to who and where you are now. And if they don't stack up, to moving them forward. That is, letting them go on to their next destination. You have to go on to your next destination too. And that's what this 4-year is about. It's a very mighty year. So I will begin with January 2nd, which is tomorrow. And January 2nd, the planet Mercury, communication, comes together, conjunct, comes together with the planet Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn. Now, both Mercury and Jupiter are expansive, and they don't fence me in planets. Capricorn is very orderly, and it's got strict boundaries, and it kind of likes the whole fenced-in idea. So with Mercury together with Jupiter in Capricorn, you're going to have organized ways of thinking. They're just going to come to you. If you're not naturally an organized thinker, slow down, take a few deep breaths, and begin practicing. It's a good idea, and it's especially a good idea this month. The next day is January 3rd. And January 3rd is a day that the planet Mars, the planet of action, how we take action, and it's going to leave the sign of Capricorn. Now, Mars in Capricorn and Mars in Scorpio are the two best places to have Mars. And right now, Mars is in Capricorn. So Mars taking action and Capricorn doing as much as you can do to get something done means that Mars in Capricorn excels at getting things done because it's aware of discipline, Capricorn. It's aware of boundaries, Capricorn. It's aware of ticking off the boxes. You go down that list, you tick off the boxes, it's pretty phenomenal. Mars in Capricorn is that way. Mars in Sagittarius is not. Mars in Sagittarius is really less about ticking off the boxes and more about interaction. So Mars will go here and do this, go here and meet this person. So you want to be sure that if you're working on a project now, you've got some great guidelines and some great goals already written out. I say written out because you're not going to remember. Who remembers? You write things out, write your list out, because when Mars goes into Sagittarius, and it'll be there for at least 6 weeks, when it goes into Sagittarius, it's going to have you scatter. This is great for being social. This is great for connecting, but not so great for being methodical and going according to your rule book of ticking the boxes and getting things done. It's a great time to be out there, and it's a fabulous time for travel, especially long distance travel. Then on January 7th, we have the sun, which is the life force. It's who you are. It's your statement of being. The sun in Capricorn, which is where we are now, in the sign Capricorn, is together with a planet called Neptune. Now, when I say together, I mean it hits at a certain angle. So it's at the angle we call a sextile. And that means there's great opportunity there. However, you must work for it and work towards it. The sun, the life force, the being, the knowing who you are, in any aspect to Neptune, spirituality, creativity, the soul, also the fog, haze, uh, wool gathering, the sort of illusionary state or illusory state. What you have to do, well, when the sun and Neptune are in any kind of relationship, any kind of aspect, is you need to make sure you keep your feet on the ground. I would suggest that a couple of days before the 7th, say the 5th, and 3 days after the 7th, say by the 10th, I'd suggest you wear ankle weights because it'll help you stay grounded and it'll help you be able to shine a light on your ideas, your creativity, even your fantasies. Fantasies aren't necessarily bad. It just depends on how you use them and what your intention with the fantasy is really about. So the next thing you want to be aware of is that on January 8th, see, I told you there's a lot going on this month. On January 8th, you have Jupiter, expansiveness, philosophy. It's going to be conjunct together with the south node, the moon's south node. And that means a lot of spillage is going to occur. Spillage? Yes. The south node contains everything you ever did, everything you ever didn't do, everything that you ever started, and everything you ever finished. And it goes on for lifetimes. It's not just this lifetime. It's not just last month or last year. It's all of your lifetimes. So when Jupiter, this expansive, big, kind of bulky planet, bumps up against the south node, which is shaped like a cup, it's going to tip it over. And when it tips it over, it's going to spill everything out. Lucky we're in a 4-year because you can see what's there. Oh my goodness, look at what was in the cup. Look at what I need to deal with. Look at what I need to sort through. And then sort through it. Memories, relationships, belief systems, old stuff. Time to lay it out, sort through it, get rid of what is no longer of value to you, and keep and reposition what is of value to you. Then on January 10th, we have the first full moon and eclipse of the year. So things get pretty hot and heavy around a full moon and definitely around an eclipse. So 3 days before, January 7th, 3 days after, January 13th, that's the arc of influence of the full moon and certainly of the eclipse. So lunar eclipses, full moon eclipses, are about the endings, coming to the end of something. Now, didn't I just say that Jupiter was going to bump into the south node and spill its contents, and that you need to go through who and what are important to you, and you need to keep who and what are important to you, but elevate them or shift their use or their place in your life, and who and what is no longer of benefit to you, time to set them on the curb. Set them out on the curb and let somebody else go through and pick out what they want. You no longer have need for them. You no longer have room for them. January 10th is also, this is really important. So at the same time that you have this full moon and the eclipse, you've got Mercury, good old communication, together with the sun, conjunct. When planets are conjunct, they take on each other's personas. So Mercury is, I know, my opinion. I want to explain. And the sun is, I am rock solid. So they take on each other's, when they're conjunct, they are on the 10th, they take on each other's personalities. So you are more inclined to believe that your life and that your life's focus and your life's direction are in sync with what you think. Sometimes this is true. Sometimes this isn't true. Remember, there's a Neptune aspect at play here just from the past few days. Let's check and see if that is so. Because the most important thing for you to remember is just because you know you're right doesn't always mean you actually are right. And an advanced soul will admit that maybe I need to take another look at this. Some things you're going to be right on, and that's fantastic. But some things, maybe they're going to be blown out of proportion, or maybe they're just going to be a little hazy for you. What you want to do is make sure before you sign anything, before you agree to something, before you declare a truth, that whatever you sign, agree to, or declare is actually of value and so for you. The next day, January 11th, the planet Uranus, the planet of unpredictable, uncontrollable, unexpected, oh my God, what just happened, is going to go direct. It's currently going retrograde, and it's doing some pretty intense work going retrograde. So when it goes direct, fasten your seatbelts. It's in Taurus, so you could think, well, it's not going to move that fast. But Taurus it packs a punch. So things will not necessarily move quickly, but they will impact you deeply. So make sure you are grounded. Make sure you are clear about what you want to say, who you want to say it to, and also what you're thinking, because that's you saying something to you. What are you thinking? And where did that thought come about? This is a time of examination. So it's a good time to do just that. It is never a good idea to let Uranus have the reins. Never a good idea. However, you can't really stop it. So the best thing you can do is have an agenda that you want Uranus to hopefully pay attention to. That takes us back to the list. You want Uranus to pay attention to you and to what your agenda is. It really does like direction. Many people think it doesn't because they think Uranus is the planet that is associated with the sign Aquarius. But Uranus and Saturn, the planet of lists, both are associated with with the sign Aquarius. So you have that, I've got to get out there and do something, anything now of Uranus, and you have their by the books, Saturn. And they do work well together if you work them properly. Have your list, strap yourself in, and you're pretty much going to get to everything on the list. Not necessarily in the order you expected, but you'll get through it safely, you'll get through it efficiently, and you'll be happier with the results. The next day we want to look at is big, very big, January 12th. Many things are happening on January 12th. So I will start out with Mercury. How we think, how we communicate is conjunct together with Saturn. This is a great time to do the books. This is a great time to start getting your taxes together. This is a great time to make a commitment. This is also a time when you need to make sure there's a lot of light and life and laughter in your life, because Mercury and Capricorn, Mercury and Saturn together can sometimes get a little heavy, sometimes a little sad. Now, Mercury and Saturn are going to be together in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so there's a double dose of organizations being steady on the course. There's also double dose of opportunity for things to get a little heavy for you, a little weighty. Make sure that you keep your spirits up. Watch comedies, read comic books, and they call them graphic novels now. And above all, make sure you get enough light. I recently got a SAD lamp, SAD, it's seasonal something affected disorder, something like that. But when in the winter, it's been found that people get depressed or get stressed or feel overwhelmed because there's not enough sunlight. So I got this lamp and I sit there with it a few minutes a day, and it has made all the difference in the world. I'm actually sleeping better because of it. It's very interesting. So maybe get a sad lamp. Just go to Amazon or go to your local department store and see what they're offering. Then we have Mercury, good old planet of communication, together with conjunct Pluto. That means Pluto being the sign of transformation and major change. That means that the way you think and the way you speak and the way you operate from what you've thought and said will create, in all probability, permanent deep change, transformation. Please be careful to know that what you're saying and what you're thinking and who you're saying it to, make sure that this is so for you, because this is truly a conjunction where your mind and your mouth had better be able to cash the check that your entire spirit, body, mind, mouth, thought are issuing. Because if you're not, you're going to have to pay a heavy price. So if you think you need to give somebody a piece of your mind, don't. If you think you need to go and confront somebody and yell and scream, that's not the way. If there's going to be a confrontation, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's keep it calm. And this is a great time for chamomile tea. Great time to spritz yourself with lavender water or rose water. It's a fabulous time for that. Now then, the biggie that we've all been waiting for, that everybody's been talking about. Oh my God, two planets are coming together. They rarely do this. Here they are, Saturn and Pluto. Saturn will conjunct Pluto in the sign of Capricorn on the 12th. People are running around. I think it's very Chicken Little. They are thinking things are going to happen. Things will befall us. Not really. Saturn actually asks you to be grounded and to approach the truth, not what you believe. Sometimes the truth is what you believe. But remember, we're spending some time before this to examine what we believe. Saturn says approach the truth in the most clear-headed way possible. That's what Saturn wants. Pluto wants you to take the truth, because that's what it's doing. Take your truth, put it in with its truth, and the two of you are going to create mental and creative and organizational transformation. Saturn and Pluto, everybody's afraid of. And I was studying it for a while, thinking, oh my God, I've got to read everything about it. When I realized something, I have a Saturn-Pluto aspect in my chart. So whether you've got Saturn-Pluto conjunct or in opposition or in square or trine or sextile, you've got that energy's working together. The fact that it's together doesn't mean disaster. It's not a Chicken Little time. Things are changing. Things are being shaken loose. Things are supposed to be shaken loose. That's what happens when this aspect comes around. Anytime you get Saturn and Pluto dancing together, it's going to move the furniture. It's going to be wild. But if you move the furniture, nothing gets broken. If you don't, everything gets broken. The change comes if you move the furniture, the change in you comes. You say, oh, there are new steps to this dance of life I'm doing. You also say, maybe I like the new furniture, the new way I'm thinking, the new way I'm looking at things. Maybe I like that better than I like the old way. Maybe it opens up the room more, opens up my life more, opens up my headspace more. Give yourself an opportunity to experience the transformation of the solid. Solid is good, but solid doesn't mean stuck. And Pluto will come along. If you're solid and you're willing to go with it, it's going to be an interesting dance or ride. If you're not willing to go with it, if you're stuck, then it's going to be gnarly. And I think the word painful is involved too. When you fight Saturn and you fight Pluto, If you fight either one, you don't win. They're now partners. So you don't want to go up against these two formidable partners, these energies that are really, really here not to punish you, not to make your life difficult or miserable, but here to help you become the best person you can be, here to help you clear your soul and grow and evolve. The next thing we're going to look at is on the 13th of January. And that will be the sun. Remember, good old Capricorn sun. It will be conjunct Pluto. It'll be conjunct Saturn. And it's just a double dose, a triple dose, quadruple dose of sun, your life force, your will, Saturn, what is and must be acknowledged and dealt with, and Pluto, what must be changed. This is going to be a time of intensity. No two ways about it, but a good thing, good intensity, if you go along with the program. Just go for it, jump in. Nobody really likes to jump into the cold water, but you know what? It's better than trying to walk down the steps of the pool, where you get cold an inch at a time. If you jump in, it's a bit of a shock to your system, but you acclimate quickly. And then the last thing to happen on January 13th is Venus, the planet of cooperation, the planet of relationships, the planet of creativity, the planet of women. Venus goes into its best sign. And the best sign for Venus is Pisces. It's going to be marvelous. It's a marvelous time. Please be careful, though, because Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which, as I said before, is the planet of spirituality and creativity. It's also the planet of haze and the fog and illusion. Be very careful if you say, oh, I have fallen in love. Be way careful. Hope you have those ankle weights handy. And wait until Venus goes into the next sign before you make any real decisions as to what you're going to do. When you read about celebrities, or you know about your friend, or maybe even you, who they've run off together because this is it. It's generally a Venus-Neptune association. Maybe Venus is not in Neptune's sign of Pisces. Maybe Venus, transiting Venus, that's the planet that's moving through the skies today, conjuncts your natal Venus in some way, shape, or form. Venus and Neptune, or Venus in Pisces, says, please be very careful about whatever kind of relationships or associations you make during this time. If you have to sign papers, announce for a partnership, forming a partnership, be very, very careful, because you need to make sure that you are getting what you're signing up for. And that's a key thing to remember with any type of Neptune contact. Are you getting what you think you're getting? Are you getting what you're signing up for? And especially as this Venus going into Pisces comes on the heels of Saturn-Pluto, and Saturn and Pluto conjunct the sun. The sun can sometimes blind our eyes. And then you have Neptune, the fog, going by. So make sure you're seeing clearly. So that's all I'm going to say today. I think that's plenty. Work with that. And remember, especially during these Neptune, Saturn, Pluto transits, remember this, being clear and being clean with yourself. And when I say clear and clean, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Be honest with yourself and move from that place of honesty. And know that Saturn actually wants you to pay the toll. Pluto insists that you pay the toll too. And when you have the aspect of Saturn-Pluto, any aspect of Saturn-Pluto, they're going to demand something from you. And what we've gotten used to on planet Earth as human beings, and I don't mean just this year or this decade or this past century, it's kind of instilled within us. What we've gotten used to and what we try to avoid is really having to be all in, having to pay, in a sense, pay the piper. which reminded me of a couple of lines from an Albert King song. Everybody wants to laugh, but nobody wants to cry. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. What Saturn and Pluto are calling for is for you to die to the old ways, is for you to cease being attracted to and cease being led around by the old limiting ways. And that means changing your habits, which people don't really like to do very often. We're very habitual, but this is a time when habits must be changed. So if you surrender and follow instructions, comply, you're going to have, as I said before, it's not necessarily the most scenic ride, but it won't be a bumpy ride. So until after January 13th, enjoy this spectacular 13 full days. Take care. Bye.